See, I got that thing set up. Okay, so here's the thing. I don't do these kind of videos here on YouTube. I know you guys out there aren't going to watch them. You guys aren't going to care about what I have to say about this movie, but I'm just doing it for my own self amusement because I want to talk about this movie. The new Super Mario movie, about 30 plus years in the making. You know, the last time we saw the Italian plumbers on screen was the pretty abysmal 1993 movie, which I've gone back and rewatched this week, and I can tell you one thing, it is not held up at all. It's a movie that I actually remembered, liking a few years ago, and then after this rewatch, I've realized just how not great that movie is. I mean, there's good things about it, like Bob Hoskins and like John Leguizamo's performances. I like the chemistry between them. Dennis Hopper chews the scenery in a way that's at least fun. But the movie's pretty much just a real god-on mess. And you know what else I really don't understand is like, so this is like 1993. The Razzies, they nominated Cliffhanger and Last Action Hero, but they didn't nominate Super Mario Brothers for a worst picture, which I don't understand. I mean, Cliffhanger or Last Action Hero, like you're picking movies that weren't even bad instead of picking the one that was bad. I really do not understand that at all. At all. But whatever. The Super Mario Bros. Movie from back in the day stunk. I know it has a cult following to it, and I'm not gonna knock on anybody who likes the film. I like I said, I think there are interesting things about it that keep me from really disliking it. But man, and it's just so like nonsensical and weird that at least there's, it's like at least entertaining in that regard. But now here we are, 30 years later, we get a brand new Super Mario Brothers movie, an animated one. Now let me tell you guys, I love me some Super Mario Brothers. They're very accessible games. They're games I've been playing since I was a very little kid. My favorite Mario game is Super Mario World. I just love the graphics and the music. The gameplay in that one. Everything about Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo, that's always really stuck out to me as being my favorite Super Mario Brothers video game. That one, I mean, is probably like my top 3, top 4 favorite video games of all time. I love Super Mario World. But I've played pretty much most of the Marios. I mean, the first one, second one, third one. I've beaten some of them. I'm not like the greatest at Super Mario, but when you really do get the rhythm going and when you really do start playing those games, you really do find a lot of things to appreciate, like the music and, again, the graphics. I will say, like, the standard Mario games are mostly always kind of follow the same pattern or layout, which may become boring for some other players, but I still do have a good time with the Mario games. As a person who owns a Nintendo Switch, I've played some of the Mario games on Switch. I played Mario Odyssey. Mario Odyssey I really liked. I had a Nintendo Wii, so I played Mario Galaxy. I never played the second Mario Galaxy, but the first one I played, and I really liked the first one. The first one has like some really fantastic music in it. Just amazing music in that game. I love the orchestrations in that. What other ones have I played? And I've played some of the side ones. Like, I've played Mario Kart. Really enjoy those games. Even though, like, I'm not the greatest at Mario Kart. But Mario Kart's always fun. Especially when you're playing with other people. And then, like, what else have I played? Like, I've played the Smash games. Love the Smash games. I love all of them. They're just very exciting and very, very fun. Again, those are fun games to play with other folks. I didn't play a lot of like the Mario sports related games. Like I never really played the Mario parties or like like the Paper Mario and that stuff. I didn't play a lot of those. I didn't even play like the Bowser, or not Bowser and Luigi, the Luigi and Mario like games or whatever. I didn't play a lot of those on DS, but I did play. So I played mostly like the main Mario games and also like some of the Smash games as I've mentioned and stuff like that. So going into this movie, I had kind of mixed expectations for it for a couple of reasons. Illumination's not a company I dislike. I'm not like these other people who are like, oh, I hate Illumination. I feel like they've done 3 movies I've really liked. Well, not really liked, but I've liked. I like the first Despicable Me. I like the second one. And I like the first Secret Life of Pets. That's kind of it. I feel like... Okay, but yeah, when it comes to, like, the Illumination movies I've seen, I haven't seen all of them, but, like, the ones I've seen, it's kind of a hit or miss. Like I said, I like those ones. The Lorax is kind of like a so bad it's good for me, because it's, like, kind of so bad it's, like, funny. Secret Life of Pets 2, not really as much, didn't like as much as the first one. Despicable Me 3, I didn't really care much for. I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this. I don't care for Sing. I really did not care for that film. I've never been a fan of that. I've always found that film to be kind of very boring and derivative of other films of that same genre. You know, stuff like Pitch Perfect and School of Rock that, to me, did that genre way better. Or like that kind of musical film way more better than what Sing did. I felt like Sing just took like a lot of the things that worked in those films and just sort of used them to its like advantage or disadvantage or however you want to call it. I didn't care for Sing. I never bothered to watch Sing 2. I will add to the like pile Minions Rise of Gru because I enjoyed that one. I had a good time with that movie. I saw it in the theater. I remember in that Jurassic World Dominion review, I kind of crapped on it a little bit, but I was like, you know what, I ended up seeing it, and I was like, I had a good time with it. I thought it was just a fun animated film that made me laugh. It made me laugh genuinely. So Super Mario Brothers has definitely a lot of high expectations. But I'll tell you what didn't really make the expectations any better was seeing the Rotten score on Rotten Tomatoes. Now here's the thing. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, Rotten Tomatoes says it's bad, that means the movie's bad. Nah. You know what? There's movies that get rotten all the time that I liked. Last one I could think of, Babylon got rotten, and I actually liked Babylon. A lot of people didn't like the movie. I thought it was a good time, you know? So, going into Super Mario Brothers, you got that going for it. And, the trailers look pretty good for the most part. I'm not sure if I was digging Chris Pratt's voice as Mario. It's just kind of a little bit of a nitpick of mine. It's not that I dislike Chris Pratt. It's just that, you really do want to hear that Italian accent come out of, Super Mario. That's what I've been accustomed to when you're playing the Super Mario games. And it's also just weird that, they actually have the actual voice of Super Mario as a cameo appearance in the film, but, they don't actually have him voice Mario, which I was just like, well, why don't they just have him voice Mario? I don't know. I don't make the rules here. You got to get all the celebrity names. But I ended up seeing the movie on Wednesday because I have a lot of crap I got to do this weekend. Of course, they chose the worst weekend to release this on because I'm really busy this week. I don't even know if this is going to come out. But I will say, this was supposed to come out in December, and then they ended up swapping the date to April. I don't know if they did that because they're afraid to get in competition with Avatar. I think this would have done okay against Avatar, but I think in that regard it probably worked out for Puss in Boots because I think they're the same studio, Universal, so it probably boosted people seeing Puss in Boots more. As a result, counter marketing with Avatar. Okay, I'm just rambling here. But anyways, I went into the theater. I saw Super Mario, and I was pleasantly surprised with this movie. I actually really enjoyed it. Now, I will say the story isn't the greatest. There's a lot of things. The movie just moves at a real fast pace, but that's what I liked about it. It felt like it captured a energy to when you're playing the Super Mario game. You know what I mean? It's like when you're playing Super Mario and when you're just literally racing to get to the end of the game or the end of the level, it felt like the filmmakers really captured that with this very kinetic and fast pace. One of the things I really liked about this movie is I felt like they also captured the real Rube Goldberg aesthetic of the Super Mario game as well in terms of animation. There's scenes where in the beginning, Mario and Luigi, they're racing to fix this or they're racing to do a plumbing gig or whatever it is. I feel like again they captured that real Rube Goldberg fast-paced energy of that Super Mario game, but captured on film. And I think they did a really good job at that. And I think the real energy that this film had, real just energy that it captured in animation, I think really worked to the film's advantage. Because I feel like if it didn't have that, the movie would have just been kind of just a slog to get through. And trust me, I see a lot of these animated films and stuff, and there's just a few of them that just are just not that exciting. They just lack that real energy and excitement sometimes. But this film, I feel like was very much so. Animation I thought looked really nice, really clean. I like the character designs. They really felt on model to what the games looked like. So I feel like they did a lot of that stuff very, very well. The voice work I got used to, and I wasn't really, again, it's just weird because, again, when you play those Super Mario games, and you sort of just imagine how, the voices would sound if the characters are really talking to each other. But seeing it in this film, I was like, okay, well, I understand that they casted celebrity voices, but it's one of those things where you kind of just go along with it. Could they have gotten like relatively unknown people or like regular voice actors and stuff? Your Tom Kinney or your Tara Strong doing the voices. Yeah, they could have done that, but I was okay with the voices for the most part. In particular, Jack Black as Bowser, he really does steal the show. I mean, um, he's barely recognizable as Bowser. I think he did a really good job. I think he's really definitely the standout. I was like, oh wait, that was Jack Black doing the voice. Although there is one scene where you're like, oh yeah, that's clearly Jack Black, but it works to the film's advantage, in my opinion. Like I said, I mean, the weaknesses is that the story isn't like the greatest, and stuff like stuff like stuff could have been fleshed out a little bit more. But again, I think it definitely worked its advantage. I mean, I feel like a lot of people are complaining that the movie's too short, but I feel like we're kind of in a day and age where sometimes a movie can be too short or too long. And I feel like this movie just quite gives you enough entertainment. Like, it doesn't feel like it slows down or proceeds to bore you. It feels like it gives you a decent amount of entertainment within like its hour and 32-minute runtime. You know what I mean? Because it's not one of those things where it's like I'm sitting there watching it and I'm like, well, this scene could move along faster, or this could be along a little faster. I don't know. I feel like they kept the pacing at a good minimum. And again, I know that's not going to work for a lot of people going into it. A lot of people do want something a little more slower pace and a little more balanced. But I feel like for me, this again captured that real energy of playing Super Mario, or at least when you're playing the side-scrolling Super Mario. Because I mean, stuff like Super Mario 64 and Super Mario Odyssey, those games really do require a lot more exploring. Those aren't really time-based games like the side-scrolling ones are. And I feel like the movie was focused a lot more on the side-scrolling elements of Super Mario instead of the 3D ones, which might not work for a lot of people out there. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I got a good kick out of it. It was a movie that made me happy. It was a movie that just put a big grin on my face. Maybe it's just because of my nostalgia for Super Mario, but at the same time, it was just nice to come out of a movie like this and just feel like you just saw a good movie. You know how that is. And 2023 isn't as good so far as 2022. You know what I mean? Because 2022, I was seeing like straight up banger after banger after banger. This year's had some really good ones, like John Wick 4 and Air. I also saw with Ben Affleck. That was a really good one. I actually have a big soft spot for Megan. I had a good time with that one. But overall, this was just a fun time at the movies. It was just a fun animated film. Nothing more, nothing less, which might cause some people to not like it nearly as much. So this is where I get into the part where I'm going to do a little bit of ranting here. And you may turn the video off. I'm going to try not to cuss too much, but, I just go off the rails or whatever. It's because I don't script any of this stuff. I might even bleep it out because, again, I'm trying my best to not cuss. But I'm going to do a little ranting here about it. So here's the thing about this movie, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to sit here and defend this movie. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, this is like the greatest thing ever. But what I am going to say is, listen, it's a Super Mario Brothers movie. It's based on a video game. Considering that this is like 30 plus years in the making, and considering that the last attempts at Super Mario Brothers totally crapped the bed, it's just nice to have seen something that is going to apply to a lot of fans and maybe even non-fans of Super Mario. I don't know how they're going to feel about it. Maybe they won't feel as like invested into the film because again the story isn't the greatest. Maybe they're not going to feel invested into the film as much as I was or as much as some other people are going to be. But I think that as an entry point for Nintendo and for like I said, for Nintendo who's very stingy when it comes to adaptations and stuff, I think this is a solid enough entry point. But a lot of people out there are going to see this as just like another big cash grab or a cash cow or whatever, or just, nothing more than just them trying to sell stuff. And here's the thing. This, to me, sold stuff in a way that was at least fun and exciting. I think back to Space Jam, right? From back in the day. Space Jam is a movie that I think makes no goddamn sense. It really isn't that good of a movie when you really break it down and think about it. You know, special effects are cool, but Michael Jordan's acting's not that great. It's a movie that, again, I think I mentioned, just isn't really that good of a movie when you really think about it. But Space Jam does one thing really well, and that's sell you stuff. Because I'd be damned if I didn't pop on that soundtrack every once in a while. You know, jamming out to frickin' Hit 'Em Up, which is a straight up banger. A banger and a half. You know? Banger after banger on that soundtrack. The toys were cool. I have the McDonald's toys. I think they're pretty rad. Those little plushies or whatever it is. T-shirts are cool. Space Jam does one thing right, like Super Mario, and that's sell you stuff. Okay? I think of Super Mario Brothers, this new one, as the new Space Jam. Okay? This is this generation Space Jam. And I wish that these millennials and these people who will still to this day swear up and down that Space Jam is this great movie that really, like, is just outstanding in every given sorts, that they would just leave alone the new generation that'll love and adore Super Mario Brothers, the movie, as much as they did Space Jam. Because for a lot of kids out there, this is their Space Jam. This is their big movie that they're really are gonna have that, good time with. And there's nothing worse than watching a product be bland and boring. Like Lightyear. Lightyear sets itself out to be like, oh, this is the movie that Andy watched back in the day. This was the movie that made him want a Buzz Lightyear toy. I sat down and watched the movie and I'm like, I don't really care. I don't really want one of those things. I don't want a Buzz Lightyear toy. I don't care. I'll just get a Turbo Man. But again, like Super Mario, I think does, like, it makes it a lot more, it makes selling itself a lot more exciting. Again, like Space Jam, where it's just, even though it's not the greatest thing in the world, it's still exciting. It still has energy. It still has life and charm. It also has charm too, because that's another thing about Space Jam. It's like, yeah, Michael Jordan's acting is not that great, but gosh darn it, is there something charming about watching him along these Looney Tune characters. There's just something about that film that really does have a lot of fun and energy with it. Yeah, the story don't make no sense. Yeah, it's dumb as hell, but it's still fun, and it still has a lot of charm to it, and you're still invested into it. And that's what I feel like Super Mario Brothers is. Because, yeah, the story don't make a lot of sense, but you still like these characters, you still like this realm, you still are just going along with the motions. I'm still having a great time watching this film. I'm still having a great time breathing in this film and enjoying this film. It makes me want to get up and play some good old Super Mario Brothers and just experience it again. And that, to me, is what a product should do. Because, again, I think of Lightyear and just how bland and boring that was and how underwhelming it was. I mean, listen, I don't hate Lightyear. I don't think it's a god-awful movie or anything like that. But just, I don't know. If I'm told that was the movie that, Andy would have saw back in the day that would have encouraged him to want to Buzz Lightyear, or pretty much any kid at the time, I'm not buying it. I'm just not buying it at all. At all. But there's just nothing more better, in my opinion, than getting, at least in my opinion, if your intent is to sell a product, sell it well, okay? And while many people will think the cynicism behind this film is there, it could have been better, and sure, it could have been better. It maybe could have been more awesome. Maybe there could have been a lot more stuff fleshed out. I think that given the fact that this movie of this capacity even exists, like I said, to this capacity, is a good thing, okay? Littered with mediocre video game adaptation after mediocre video game adaptation, stuff like the Mortal Kombat from like a year ago, whatever it was, mediocre. Stuck in with like Uwe Boll making pretty crappy video game movies. It's nice to see one that was pretty damn cool, It's no different than like, watching a filmed adaptation of like a famous book and reading that book afterwards. To me, I think Super Mario Brothers does a really good job at really approaching, really at trying to sell you a product if that's what people are going to see it as. And I think again, if you're going to look at Super Mario Brothers in a negative light, I think you need to approach it in a different light. I feel like this film, again, it's not high class or high art, but at the same time, it's entertainment, but good entertainment, not bland entertainment or mediocre entertainment. It's good entertainment. So yeah, I'm just rambling about this movie a little bit. I'm gonna talk about some trailers real quick. I just, not really much to talk about trailers. If I even remember what trailers I got, I only got like 3 or 4 of them, and I think some of them were the same old trailers. I know I got that about my family trailer, that Robert De Niro family movie coming out with a peacock in it. I was surprised I even got that trailer before Super Mario Brothers. I mean, like, I got that before John Wick 4, but it's one of those things where it's like, you think they would have cued it a little bit more to the smaller crowd. I don't know. The movie, I mean, Robert De Niro, it's like, I feel like we're never going to see, I mean, I feel like The Irishman is kind of like, the last time we're going to see Robert De Niro being like a badass. It's like, now he's really stuck into the family friendly stuff or the real comedic stuff. And listen, I mean, I'm pretty sure the guy's making a lot of money. He's probably really happy about it, but I don't know. I want to see Robert De Niro picking up projects that seem like they're really good. It seems like he's been doing this Meet the Parents stuff for like the last 20-something years. Whatever. It looks fine. Then we got, like, Trolls 3. I don't really care. And as a person who considers Trolls World Tour a guilty pleasure, I saw this trailer and I was just like, whatever. It's gonna happen. Cool. I don't care. The first Trolls I didn't really think much about. Like I said, Trolls World Tour is a guilty pleasure. Also, I mean, that's the other thing. Two things about this movie. Number one, there's no Queen Barb in this trailer, and Queen Barb was my favorite character of the last movie. I mean, I like that character a lot. Voiced by Rachel Bloom. Really like that character. Didn't see any Queen Barb in the trailer, even though Barb was in that Christmas special, which I did watch. Didn't even remember I watched that thing, but whatever, And the other thing is, like, has anybody noticed, like, every DreamWorks sequel, or just about all of them, all the franchises are always about, like, a sibling or a parent or whatever it is, relative. Like Shrek 2, it's like, oh, well, we got Fiona meeting her parents, or like Shrek meeting Fiona's parents, and How to Train Your Dragon 2. It's like, oh, Hiccup finds his mom, and what is it, Madagascar 2. I think it was like Alex's dad or something. Kung Fu Panda 3, I think it was Poe's dad. Pretty sure somebody's going to correct me on that. I don't remember, but like, it seems like a lot of DreamWorks franchises, they're always about like long lost relatives and stuff. Because in this one, it's like, oh, now Branch has a brother. It's like, oh, wow, great, fun. Again, I don't care. But you know what? Even though I say I don't care, I'm probably going to end up seeing it anyways. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It does not matter. This movie could be awesome, but I doubt it. I just, it's like you see Puss in Boots, and it's like Puss in Boots 2, and you're like, wow, DreamWorks, you're really coming back. Before that it was The Bad Guys, which I really liked. And then now it's this. It's like, well, you win some, you lose some, I guess. What other trailer did I get? Spider-Verse 2, that looks awesome. I really ain't gotten much to add about that. I got that Ninja Turtles trailer again. I think that trailer's going to get on my nerves because that's like the 18th time I've gotten that trailer. Paramount Pictures really seems to do a really good strategy of just making you watch the same trailers over and over. They did it with Smile, and they did it with Babylon, and now they're doing it with this Ninja Turtles trailer. They really want to make sure that you see this film in the theater, which I most likely will. I like the Ninja Turtles, and I'm all down for an animated Ninja Turtles movie. Hopefully this one's going to be really good, but I don't know, man. This trailer looks cool. It looks cool from this teaser. It has a lot of potential, but, again, give me a good Ninja Turtles movie. I feel like it's been a long, long time since I've seen a really good one. And then I got a trailer for Migration, which, I don't really have any thoughts about that one. I really hate Illumination teasers. Like, I miss the days when a teaser trailer was like something like the Ice Age teaser trailer, or for the first Ice Age, where they just showed that scene where it was Scrat and that acorn, or like Monsters Inc., where it's like they showed that scene with Mike and Sully that's not in the movie. Like, but teaser trailers today, like, sometimes they're just so lame, you know what I mean, or so lazy. Like, there's a half of this teaser was just like, oh, we're Illumination and we did Despicable Me and like Secret Life of Pets. And the movie you're about to watch, Super Mario. It's like, I don't know, just give me a good teaser. I don't know. It's like, can they do that again? Please? Please? Sometimes, I mean, again, there are just so many great animated teaser trailers, and for them to do this one, it just, I don't know, didn't make a good impression. I feel like animated teaser trailers is like a lost art form at this point, because I see one of these and I just never really get excited anymore like I used to as a kid. You know what I mean? Like I said, like Ice Age, even like Wall-E, where it's like, oh, well, you know, we developed all these great Pixar movies, and here's the one about the robot. I'm like, that's exciting me. That's getting me pumped. I don't know. It's just, you never know. So yeah, I'm pretty much done with this recording. I wasted about, if you made it this far into the video, congratulations. Unfortunately, I don't have any money to give out, but, you know, at least congratulations. You heard me ramble about Super Mario Brothers a little bit. Good night, everybody. Hopefully I'll see you guys sometime in another bootleg video coming up soon, whatever video.